Hi again. It's nice to be in the cool and the shade of this little woodland. It has been so hot through all of July into August. I'm not at my best in the heat. You just don't feel like doing an awful lot, especially tree climbing and walking up hills, etc. Now, I know I've not put a video on for a few weeks, but July into August has been so busy. Both my sons are at home, me and my wife have been away. We actually went to the Outer Hebrides, beautiful, a nice 16 degrees, gentle cool rain, beautiful it was to get away from the heat. But like I say, I've not put a video on. I've just not really had time. I think the last one I put on was tree camping in these very woods. That was a real challenge to film, and one of the main pieces of equipment I used to film it was a selfie stick. Not a simple 4-foot selfie stick, but it was about 5 metre, about a 17-foot selfie stick. That enabled me to get the shots that I wanted. Now when I made the selfie stick, I did film it all with a view to putting it on at some stage. So what we're going to do, we're going to go back in time to March earlier this year when I made the selfie stick. I'll go through how I made it, what materials I used. I also made a carry bag to carry it all in. So we'll go through all that, and then we'll come back out into the woodland, and I'll give a short demonstration of how I set it up, how I use it for filming the tree climbing and camping. So I'll talk to you in a little bit then. Hello there. Now, I'm sure anybody who's involved in YouTube videos has used a selfie stick at some stage. This is a very lightweight, simple selfie stick, about a £5 on eBay. Mount your camera or your phone there and you're away. Now, sometimes I use my SLR camera, a bit heavier. So I bought this one. It's a bit more heavy duty. It'll support my SLR, gives a bit wider view. Still very cheap and very useful. Now, certain situations I needed a longer selfie stick, and I'm talking a really longer selfie stick, about roughly 5 meters. That's what I was after. I looked on the internet and they were available, but they cost a fortune. They were made of carbon fibre, which is good, lightweight and strong. They were telescopic, but they were like 400 quid or something like that. So as always, I thought I'll make one. I got hold of this carbon fibre tube. These are 6-foot lengths, 25mm, about a 2mm wall, very rigid, very strong. I've got this interconnecting piece I got from China. So that's basically the principle. Another piece on top and repeat the process all the way up. I'll probably use a simple bolt with a wing nut on to secure it all together and glue these pieces in. I'm going to cut this in two, so there'll be 3 foot plus that on the end, so that they might end up about 36-inch pieces, 38-inch pieces, something like that. But make it reasonably easier to carry around with you. On the end, I've got various clamps. I haven't decided which one to use, but that'll bolt on the end, and that will allow you to bolt your camera on the end of the pole. So that's what I'm making. And on top of that, we're going to use a sewing machine at the end of the garage, and we're going to make a holdall to keep all your rods together in. So that's not bad for one video, is it? A collapsible selfie stick and a storage bag, all in one video. Not bad at all. So we'll get on and get the tubing cut into 3-foot lengths and start gluing the interconnecting pieces in. That's all the pieces cut, including these joining pieces. So I'm just going to rough these up so the adhesive I use will bond better. I'm just going to do similar and try and braid the inside of the tube where the sleeve will go. So that's the braided section. I've cleaned those up, and the plan is to glue those in like that to form the joining bits. I looked on the internet, various adhesives people had tried and used. Some were very expensive. I got this JB Weld, bit like epoxy resin, bit like Arrow dye. I thought I'll mix that and glue them. Hopefully it should work, just have to see. So I'm going to get this adhesive mixed up now. So that's the adhesive mixed. Just going to apply that to the section to be glued. So that gives a nice, neat, clean finish, and that inner tube's now glued in. So that's the interconnecting spigot joint form now. So I'm going to get the sections drilled and then joined together. I'll just show you something because I've already drilled these pipes. So that's the joint formed. All I've done is drilled straight through. Now my original plan, as I said, was to simply fasten these sections together with a simple bolt and a wing nut. So I did that, and obviously eagerly tried it out, connected them all together. Just put that back in. And then as I slid the poles up, this sharp bolt here, when cut on my hand, I got blood all over the place, and I thought, what a waste of time that was. So I got rid of these wing nuts, and on the internet I found these. Took a bit of searching. I will put all information about the materials used up at the end. This is called a linch pin, but it's a linch pin for a pipe, and it's spring loaded. It's the smallest size I could find, but they're great. You basically put it through the hole, flick it over, and that is the joint formed. So I bought 10 of these. I need 5, and I've got a few spares, but so simple to use. So that's the selfie stick all clipped together. It's given me a length of 17 feet, approximately 5.2 meters. Now the main situation I'm going to be using this is with the selfie stick vertical and a camera mounted on the top. It initially built it for filming in trees. That was my original plan. So I'll show you the two modifications I've done to it so I can use it in the vertical position. To enable me to use the selfie stick in the vertical position and not have it sink in the ground, got this little T-connector. It's bolted to the bottom section, slid a piece of carbon fibre tube in and bolted it through there. So you could take it to bits for carrying. I'll probably just leave it as it is, stuck out the top of the bag. So that means it'll sit on the ground, it won't sink in, or if you were using it in a horizontal position, you've a bit more control on twisting it. And the other thing I made, it was just to enable me to guy the selfie pole in a vertical position. That's just a piece of plywood cut out with a 25mm hole in and 3 guy ropes fastened to it. You might be able to pick up a wheel or a piece of plastic, something like that to serve the same purpose. So that just slides over. You can then use 3 tent pegs and guide that out so it'll hold the selfie stick in a rigid vertical position. So that's basically the selfie stick finished. I'm going to get on now and quickly make a holdall to carry it all in, and then we'll take it out and try it just to prove it works okay. So I've cut 2 pieces, a front and a back. It'll have like a flap closure. I'm going to use this 25mm webbing to make a clip for the closure, and the 38mm webbing for a carrying strap. So what I'm going to do first, with the front and the back, I'm going to sew the clips and the webbing in place, a little bit of binding on the edges, and then with the good sides, the outside in, going to sew seams down the side, put a base on, turn it inside out, a little bit of binding round the edge, and that's it completed. So first off, get all the webbing and the clips in place. Going to make a start of sewing some of the straps and buckles on first. Now there's not much sewing to do. This is an industrial machine with a big motor underneath. Little jobs like this, I fit the hand winder and it's a lot easier. A lot of these, it's just a matter of sewing a box stitch all the way around. And at the end of the day, that gives you a neat box stitch, and that will hold that on. That's actually going to form part of a carry handle. So I'll get on and get all these finished now. So that's the back and the front of the holdall prepared. That's the carrying strap that's sewn on with a buckle to adjust it. That'll be a buckle that'll fasten the flap down. I decided to put a handle on halfway, might make carrying it a bit easier. So what we've got to do now is basically put it inside out, put both well, both the insides to the outside, if that makes sense. And then I've got these little magic clips, they're great, they are. So you can go along and clip it, temporary in position before we sew it. So we're ready to sew the two halves together. So I've got the two sides sewn together. The last bit, a bit awkward, is the base. I've actually put 2 layers of material there just to make it a bit stronger. So this is very awkward to sew, but it's just one of them things. So that's the bag finished now. Rods are all complete. One little thing I did, rather than leave that bolted together, I decided to put a linchpin in, and then I can just leave that in a dismantled way, a bit easier to pack away. So that's the bag finished. We can drop all the rods in. There's also room in there for another selfie stick or something like that. The only other things I've done to the bag are, I did put some binding round that raw edge there. I did that before I sewed the two halves together. And on this closure flap, I've bound the edge and I've put a buckle so it'll connect and pull everything tight there. So you've got the bag complete. You've got a carry handle there if you want to carry it like that. Or if you've got a load of gear, you want to sling it on your shoulder, you can carry it like that. So it's hardly cost anything. Might have cost a tenner, if that, in materials to make, so not expensive at all, and it was fun making it. So I think all we can do now is go and try it out, set it up and see what pictures and what video I can get with my 17-foot selfie stick. Back out in the woods again. So that is the selfie stick in its bag, all ready to set up. Behind the camera, the nice oak tree we're going to use to demonstrate on. First of all, I'll set the selfie stick up in a vertical position, and that's good for filming the initial climb or perhaps a low level camp. I'm then going to set the selfie stick up high up in the tree in more of a horizontal manner, and that's a way I would film a proper tree camp high up in the canopy. So I'm going to get all my climbing ropes set up, and then we'll make a start at getting the selfie stick set up. See you in a bit. So that's the tree climb I want to film, or perhaps a low level camp. Got my selfie stick set up over here. You can see those 2 guy lines there, and we've got the 3rd guy line down there. Follow those up, and then the top up there you can see my SLR camera, and that's looking down on the scene we want to film. So that's how I would set it up in the vertical position. So we'll get on and just do a demonstration of the filming. As you can see, it gives a totally different view to climbing. The camera's high in the tree, looking down on the climbing. Also, I could be camping at this level, and the camera set up there will film it perfectly. Now, what I intend doing is camping higher in the tree, so that calls for a different setup, which is a lot more difficult, but I'll go through that now. I'll just show you on the ground first how I've set this up. So you've got to imagine this is quite high up in a tree. About 3 meters below where I camp, I bind the end of the selfie stick onto a branch or section of trunk. As you can see, the selfie stick's there. I've 2 webbing cords. They're secured towards the end of the selfie stick, so I can pull it up in position, and that's my camera on the end. So what I'll do now, I'll climb up the tree and try and demonstrate it to you. So that's my camera. It's about 4 meters out from where I'm sat in the tree. It's the only way I can get an angle like that high up in a tree. So follow the selfie stick down. You can probably see that's where it's lashed lower down on a branch or the trunk in this case. As we come up, you see those 2 red bands where they've got brown webbing straps, and I just lash them to 2 adjacent branches. So it means by pulling on the webbing straps, I can pull the camera in towards me, adjust the sort of angle, put on whatever settings I want, and lower the camera back out and get on with filming myself while up in a tree. I'll just show you the sort of footage I can get. And then with the camera lowered into position, that's the sort of shot you can get. Now it ain't as easy as that. I must have had that camera backwards and forwards 6 times, giving it a little bit of adjustment till I've got myself pretty central in the frame. It does take quite a bit of setting up, but it's worth it for the sort of the angle of the shot you get. So I hope it gives you a bit of insight into how I film my tree camping adventures. Once August is over and everything quietens down, definitely be out again. I fancy going up on the moors for a camp, but I also want to get a tree camping as well before the weather turns. Anyway, hope you've enjoyed this video, found it useful, and it gives you an insight into how I film my tree camping adventures. So all I can say is thanks for watching, and I'll see you in September. Bye then. I'll just show you some of the materials I used. This was the main carbon fibre tube. It was actually a fishing tackle shop that sold this on eBay. I used a 25mm outer diameter, 21mm inner diameter. Came in 2 metre pieces, about £25 for 2 meters. So I ended up cutting those in half, and they provided the carbon fibre tubes. You could use aluminium, which is cheaper. You could use fiberglass. So there are different options. The other bit of tubing I used was to provide the interconnector, to provide like the spigot joint. This is a 21mm outer diameter, 19 inner diameter. I bought these from China. 2 600mm pieces were 20 quid, free postage all the way from China. Again, you'll find them on eBay. And then the other main item was these linchpins. Again, on eBay. These were the smallest sizes I could find. They were 4.5mm diameter, the actual rod, and then it was I think 32 by 28. Hopefully you can read that. They're actually described as shaft locking pin, gate hitch, retaining D-clip. And it was a UK seller. I bought 10. And I think it was 10.60, but you can buy them in 3s or lesser numbers. But they work fantastic. So those are the main materials I use for the selfie stick.